Today we are going to start with Unit 7, the interview, written by Christopher Sylvester. Now it is an excerpt taken from his Introduction to the Penguin Book of Interviews. We are having two parts in this lesson. First we'll start with part 1. Now you people might have either heard or you might have watched the interview being taken of different celebrities, isn't it? Celebrities means the famous people. Now the first part of this lesson, it talks about uh, what is an interview and what are the opinions of the different peoples regarding interviews. Now over the last 130 years, the interviews have become a commonplace of journalism, and almost everyone would possibly have read an interview at some point during their lifetime, isn't it? Thousands of celebrities have been interviewed over years, and we come to know more about them through their interviews only. Hence, some say that an interview is held in high form as a source of truth, and it is also an art. To be interviewed or to take interview of someone, it is an art, because you have to ask different questions related to his life or whatever you want to know about that particular person, and you have to be ready with the different questions. So it's an art. However, the opinions, methods and merits of this interview may have different kinds. Some despise that the interview as an unwanted meddling into people's life. It's like meddling into it's like a disturbance into the lives of the people. Interview is regarded as an unwanted disturbance in the people's life. Some feel that it is somehow diminished them. Just as some primitive cultures believe that if one took a portrait of somebody, it is just that we are stealing the soul of that particular person. V.S. Naipaul feels that some people get wounded by the interviews and lose a part of themselves. Lewis Carroll never agreed to be interviewed, and he himself had a phobia of the interviewers. Okay, now Rudyard Kipling, he considered the interviews to be immoral, a crime, and as assault that merited the punishment. According to Rudyard Kipling, he thought that this interviews should be considered as a punishable act, and he also told that it was a cowardly act and an evil, and no respectable person should ask anybody to give any interview. And Saul Bellow, he described interview like thumbprints on his windpipe. Now what does this mean? A thumbprint on his windpipe. That means Saul Bellow, he compared interviews to the thumbprints on his windpipe. He felt that the interviews made the interviewees feel suffocated, uneasy and tense during an interview. And the interviewers actually choked and strangled the interviewees and made them their victims. Now the person who is interviewing is an interviewer, okay, and when he is asking the question to the interviewees, at that time these interviews, they are choked, they get strangled, and they become the victims. So here the meaning of thumbprints on his windpipe is that the person who is being interviewed, he feels suffocated, he feels uneasy and tensed. And according to H.G. Wells, he calls the interview as an ordeal. Ordeal means what? It is like a continuous painful experience. So according to H.G. Wells, interview was a continuous painful experience. So these are the different opinions regarding interviews. Now, though there are many drawbacks about this interviews, yet interview is a good medium of communication, and the interviewers hold a position of the power and influence. Now this part 2, it is an extract from an interview of Umberto Eco, who was interviewed by Mukund Padmanabhan from the Hindu. Umberto Eco, he was a professor at the University of Bologna in Italy, and he had an impressive reputation as a scholar for his ideas on semiotics. Semiotics means the study of science, S-I-G-N-S, science, literary interpretations and medieval aesthetics. But then he turned into writing literary fiction. He enjoyed superstardom with his publication, The Name of the Rose, which sold more than 10 million copies. In the interview, the writer shared his idea of empty spaces in our lives, just as they exist in the atom, which he called interstices. Interstices means spaces. He said that he made use of those empty spaces to work. His essays were scholarly and in the narrative aspect. He liked to be identified more as an university professor who wrote novels on Sundays. It was not a joke. He participated in academic conferences and not meetings of pen clubs and writers. He identified himself with the academic community. His literary work, The Name of the Rose, was a serious novel, and it had a detective story at one level, and at the other it probed into the metaphysics, theology and medieval history. It was a highly personalized narrative written in an unconventional style. The author himself was confused, baffled when he came to know about his huge success, and felt that its success might have been because it was written at the right time. You know that some of the films, if they are released at the right time, then it becomes a hit. No, just like that, this novel also, it was written at the right time, so it was a great success. Otherwise, if it was written before or after 10 years, earlier or later, then it would not be a huge success for this person, that is Umberto Eco. The writer felt that his novel wouldn't have been so well received had it been written 10 years earlier or later. Now, actually from this part 2, we just understood that Umberto Eco, he liked to be interviewed. And when one read the interview of Umberto Eco, a person found that he was not disturbed while being interviewed. He felt very comfortable, confident, and he was at ease. He gave replies to all that he was asked, and he even elaborated and gave more information on everything. And while speaking to the interviewers also, he always maintained a friendly tone. He never evaded any question, which proved that he liked to be interviewed. Okay, so this is the lesson about the interviews and the different opinions of different people regarding interviews. And in the next part, that is the part 2, we also learned how Umberto Eco like to be interviewed, and how, in which way did he give the answers to the interviewer who interviewed him. So here we end with this lesson. I hope you have enjoyed this lesson. So we'll be meeting in the next session with a new lesson. Till then, goodbye.